Performing tonight are the Singing Cadets, Century Singers, Women's Chorus, and the Texas Aggie Band.
At this time, we ask that you please silence all electronics and refrain from using flash photography for the remainder of the ceremony. Now please enjoy one more song from the Texas A&M choral groups.
and is able for the presentation of the colors.
Please be seated. Howdy. On behalf of the Aggie Muster Committee and Texas A&M University, it is my honor to welcome you to the 2025 Campus Muster Ceremony. Tonight, we gather to uphold a beloved and timeless Aggie tradition, as others have done on this campus for over a century. We are but one of many gatherings of Aggies who are uniting together with the same purpose, to reaffirm our bonds to our university and each other. I would like to take a moment to thank all of you for being here this evening. To the class of 1975, it is my sincerest pleasure to welcome you home to Aggieland. This place has no doubt changed in looks, but I can assure you that the Aggie spirit you nurtured during your time here is alive and well. It is an honor to be able to share in camaraderie and remembrance with you on this day. To the current and former students, I would like to thank you for choosing to be here tonight. Whether this is your first muster or one of many, I encourage you to embrace this evening and reflect on what it means to be an Aggie. I sincerely hope that this ceremony reminds you that each of you are valued and precious members of our Aggie family. To our extended Aggie family, thank you for supporting a tradition so sacred and imbued with the Aggie spirit. In your presence here tonight, you are an integral part of Aggieland and this beloved tradition. And to our honored families, know that you do not experience this loss alone. We are grateful for your presence this evening, and we acknowledge that attending this ceremony requires immense strength in this difficult time. It is our sincerest hope that this ceremony offers you a sense of peace and comfort. Though you may not see us in the darkness, there are thousands of Aggies standing alongside you in solemn reverence to carry the memory of your loved one with us forevermore. Let us remember them this evening with loyalty and reverence. Tonight, when we say here, for those we loved and those we never knew, we are all offered a glimpse into the Aggie spirit, a spirit of unity, endurance, and hope, something that can hardly be explained, but most assuredly felt. The same spirit that has and will continue to persevere through both time and circumstance. Muster is a promise. Every year on April 21st, we promise to honor those that came before us by committing to living lives of distinction that honored their memory through kind word and deed, service to our community and nation, and by embracing our shared values, we contribute to their collective legacy. Most importantly, tonight we make the eternal promise that as so long as we gather together to muster, they will never be forgotten. Welcome to Aggie Muster.
Tonight, we are surrounded by our Aggie family. As Aggies, we share an unbreakable bond that unites us through tough times. As we gather here on April 21st, let us take a moment of silence to remember the Aggies that are no longer with us. To the families in front of me tonight, we are deeply sorry for the loss you're experiencing. Thank you for being here with us during this vulnerable moment. We hope that the light of the Aggie family will shine brightly on you throughout this muster ceremony and beyond. To all in attendance, each honoree has a story that deserves to be cherished. As we answer here with intentionality, we recognize the lives and stories of these great Aggies. Together, we pledge that they will never be forgotten.
The Last Corps Trip by P.H. Duval, Jr., class of 1951. It was Judgment Day in Aggie land, and tenseness filled the air. All knew there was a trip at hand, but not a soul knew where. Assembled on the drill field was the world-renowned 12th man, the entire Fighting Aggie team, and the famous Aggie band. And out in front with Royal Guard, the reviewing party stood. St. Peter and his angel staff were choosing bad from good. First he surveyed the Aggie team, and in terms of an angel swore, "By Jove, I do believe I've seen this gallant group before. I've seen them play since way back when, and they've always had the grit. I've seen 'em lose, and I've seen 'em win, but I've never seen 'em quit. No need for us to tarry here, deciding upon their fates. 'Tis plain as the halo on my head that they've opened heaven's gates." And when the 12th man heard this, they let out a mighty yell that echoed clear to heaven and shook the gates of hell. "And what group is this upon the side?" St. Peter asked his aide, that swelled as if to burst with pride when we our judgment made. "Why, sir, that's the Cadet Corps, that's known both far and wide, for backing up their fighting team, whether they won, lost, or tied." "Well then," said St. Peter, "it's very plain to me that within the realms of heaven they should spend eternity, and have the Texas Aggie band at once commence to play, for their fates too we must decide upon this crucial day." And the drum major, so hearing, slowly raised his hand and said, "Boys, let's play the Spirit for the last time in Aggie land." And the band poured forth the anthem in notes both bright and clear, and 10,000 Aggie voices sang the song they hold so dear. And when the band had finished, St. Peter wiped his eyes and said, "It's not so hard to see, they're meant for paradise." And the colonel of the Cadet Corps said, as he stiffly took his stand, "It's just another corps trip, boys. We'll march in behind the band."
Howdy. And welcome to the very heart of what it means to be an Aggie. That's the way my dad described muster to me when I was very young. And as usual, Dad was right. Muster is an incredibly moving event, but it's so much more than that. It's also a wonderful time to reflect on why Texas A&M matters, why Aggies matter, and of course what this ceremony tonight is really all about. I've always believed that muster is a window into the soul of Aggie land. It's a spiritual homecoming that brings Aggies together across continents, across generations, and across time. It reminds us that no Aggie is ever alone. And of course, more than anything else, muster is a celebration of those Aggies who no longer walk beside us. To the honored family members who join us tonight, we grieve with you. We know you've lost a part of yourselves that can never be replaced. And we promise that we will never forget your loved one. For those of us on campus, the road to muster actually began last week with the opportunity to visit the Muster Reflections display in the Memorial Student Center. So many of our honored families shared their treasured pictures and memorabilia with us. It was such a privilege to learn just a little bit about the remarkable lives of the Aggies whose families are here tonight to remember and honor them. Betty and I were escorted through the Reflections display by two wonderful young Aggies, both members of the Muster Committee. Each year, I have the distinct honor of getting to interact with that incredible group of men and women on the Muster Committee. These amazing young Aggies commit themselves to ensuring that this signature tradition lives on. Would you please join me in thanking all of them for their incredible work over the past year that led us here tonight. You know, I believe the best thing about muster for faculty and staff is that we have the joy, the real joy, of experiencing it through the lens of our current students. Many of those students are here tonight, including a number of them who are experiencing muster for the very first time. And to those students, I would offer a couple of thoughts. First, muster is all about family, and all of us, are now part of yours. And those aren't just words. We have your back forever. Every year, muster is a reminder of that. Secondly, every Aggie has a story. Those stories are remarkable, and they are unique to that Aggie. I encourage you to learn the stories because knowing them will enrich your life beyond anything you can imagine. And finally, remember that when the final chapter of your own story is written, no matter where on this earth that happens, an Aggie will call your name. Another Aggie will answer, and a flame will appear as a reminder that your light will never be extinguished. It's a gift, passed from Aggie to Aggie to Aggie, from generation to generation to generation. And this ceremony celebrates the passing of that gift. Welcome to the most important event on the Aggie calendar. Welcome to muster.
Howdy. It's indeed an honor to stand before you tonight as we gather for Aggie muster. As you've heard from the previous speakers, this is clearly our most sacred and solemn tradition. So on behalf of the Association of Former Students, your Association of Former Students, thank you for being here. Your presence here tonight, from the top of the building to the bottom, is a testament to the strength of the Aggie spirit. To the families of those who we remember this evening, we're deeply sorry for your loss and your grief, but we're ever so grateful that your presence is here with us tonight to mark the loved one, the hole that the loved one has left in your heart. I would like to recognize the fighting class of 1975, celebrating their half-century return to Texas A&M. Your legacy continues to shape A&M, and we're grateful for your impact. I had the unique honor of spending some time with the class of 75 as they kicked off their reunion last night, and they epitomize the wonderful history of Aggies. So congratulations. More than any other of our traditions, Aggie muster sets us apart from the rest of the world. As former Texas A&M president and United States Secretary of Defense Robert Gates once said, "This ceremony has no parallel with any other institution in America, not the armed forces, not the CIA, not in business, and certainly not at any other university or college campus." Tonight, we gather by tens of thousands in this room, here in Reed Arena, many thousands on musterlive.com. Aggies are gathering by hundreds in Houston, Dallas, San Antonio. They're gathering in small towns across Texas, from Alpine to Athens, from Dalhart to Del Rio, from Goliad to Goldthwaite, Carthage to Cotulla. They're gathering. They're coming together by dozens in foreign countries, Australia, India, Singapore, El Salvador. They're coming together in groups of 2 or 3 in backyards, on military bases, combat zones. The key is we're gathering for this incredible tradition that we share tonight. And while each muster is unique, they're not all like this. They are the same. And the way that they're same is there will be a roll call, and names will be answered with love and unwavering devotion, and most importantly, respect. Dr. John Aston, class of 1906, wrote in the roll call for the absent, "Softly call the muster. Let comrade answer here." And so tonight, as generations before us have done, we will answer. We will answer here for friends, family, classmates, people we know, people we love, and for a lot of people we didn't know. But we share the common bond, the unbreakable bond of the Aggie spirit. So tonight, the muster roll call and read honors our campus community here in College Station. Earlier this morning at sunrise, we had the worldwide muster roll call, and we answered here for each and every one of the 2,327 Aggies that we lost in the last 12 months. Among the greatest blessings of being an Aggie is that knowing someday, when our story is over, someone will answer here for us. It could be in this very arena. It could be in one of those small towns. It could be somewhere internationally. But that someone will answer for us at our journey's end. And that is the sacred promise of Aggie Muster and Texas A&M. So on behalf of the Association of Former Students, your Association of Former Students, thank you for being here in remembrance and as we honor the promise of Aggie Muster.
Howdy. I'd like to start by welcoming fellow students, family members, friends, and guests. It is an honor to stand before you at one of the most significant and cherished traditions in our university's history, Aggie Muster. Today represents the essence of what it means to be an Aggie. It symbolizes the unbreakable bond that ties us together as a family that spans generations, transcends time, and remains steadfast through every challenge. It is a day dedicated to honoring and remembering those who have been a part of the Aggie family and to reaffirming our commitment to one another. This storied tradition of muster stands as one of the greatest representations of our core values in action. As Aggies, we understand the profound meaning behind the words that make up RELIS: respect, excellence, leadership, loyalty, integrity, and selfless service. And today, just like every day, we will see these values embodied in how we come together as a community. It's only fitting, then, that our core values are displayed above the entrances of the Memorial Student Center, the very building that was dedicated 73 years ago to this day, in honor of the Aggies who made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. These values, which define who we are and guide our actions, welcome every student who walks through those doors. They serve as a reminder that we as Aggies carry these principles with us in everything that we do, whether it be moments of joy or in times of sorrow. There is one entrance at the Memorial Student Center that does not carry a core value, and I believe the word it encapsulates truly represents the meaning behind muster more than any other: honor. Today is not just about remembering. It's about gathering together as one Aggie family and honoring Aggies who have come before us. We honor their legacy, their commitment to this university, and their contributions to the world around us. Muster is far greater than any one person, far greater than what I could ever express in a few words. It is a living tribute to the Aggie spirit that binds us all, a spirit that transcends time and place, one that we carry with us every day. And today, we come together to honor those who shaped this institution, whose courage and dedication continue to inspire us. As I speak these words in my final moments serving as your student body president, I want to take a moment to speak directly to the students. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time today to show these families exactly what it means to be a part of the Aggie family. Your presence here is a testament to the bond and the values that we uphold. Thank you for living out our core values every single day. Through your actions, through your commitment to service, and through your leadership. And most importantly, thank you for honoring the fellow Aggies we are calling upon today. Your presence here today is part of what makes this tradition so meaningful. It has been one of the greatest honors of my life to serve as your student body president. If there's one thing that I could leave with each of you, and it's this. This ceremony does not just exist here in College Station. There are over 200 musters held across the world on April 21st. And one day, your name will be called. One day, a group of Aggies will gather, just as we are today, and they will call here in your place. I hope that as we reflect on this day, we remind ourselves of the incredible privilege that it is to be a part of this Aggie family. And I hope that each of us, no matter where life takes us, will take the time to attend musters and continue to honor those who came before us, calling here for the absent, just as they have done for us. Thank you.
Texas Aggies down in Aggie land, we've got Aggie spirit to a man. Stand united, that's the Aggie theme. We're the 12th man on the team. When we're down, the going's rough and tough. We just grin and yeah, we've got the stuff to fight together for the Aggie dream. We're the 12th man on that fighting Aggie team. Texas Aggies down in Aggie land. We've got Aggie spirit to a man. Stand united, that's the Aggie theme. We're the 12th man on the team. When we're down, the going's rough and tough. We just grin and yell, we've got the stuff to fight together for the Aggie dream. We're the 12th man on that fighting Aggie team.
Howdy. The Aggie family is special. It is a dynamic body that has grown and developed for 149 years since 1876. We have fought wars together, we have raised families, and we have governed state and country. We support each other. This unity comes from what we call the Aggie spirit. So challenging to explain, it is nights like the first Tuesday of the month at Silver Taps, or right here in Reed Arena tonight where we feel it. It impacts us. It drives us to continue the tradition of those who come before us. Today, there are over 200 musters around the world, ranging from the large 500-plus attendee banquets in Houston and Dallas to the three-person dinners at various military bases and naval ships. We find ourselves attending these musters around the world as we go on with our lives, but we have one to look forward to. 50 years from our graduation when we return back to campus. This year, as a student body, we have the privilege of welcoming the class of 1975 back to Aggieland. We all are glad you're here. For some of you, this might be your first time back in a while. Some of you might have been here 2 weeks ago, celebrating your grandchildren receiving their coveted Aggie ring. For all of you, it is home. It is a place you are always welcome to. I met with several members of the class of 1975 to learn more about your time here in Aggieland. One such individual, Lieutenant General retired Chip Utterback, is the interim commandant of the Corps Cadets and a member of the class of 1975. Most importantly, though, He is a member of the intramural doubles handball championship team from 1975. Your senior year was filled with a lot of good bull, highlighted by Bevo marching down the quad with Squadron 1 seniors at his reins. Somehow, a blue water tower ended up on campus, and a fountain at that school in Austin was dyed maroon. Most notably, your class, led by a few core staff juniors, developed the Minerva Plan for welcoming the first women into the Corps of Cadets, ensuring they were trained and supported as every fish for 100 years before you were. As General Utterback emphasized with me, your class as a whole showcased the Aggie way in all that you did on and off the quad. To the class of 1975, thank you. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for showing us what it means to be an Aggie. This day is so significant because we have the ability to stand with you and answer here for your classmates and ours who are no longer with us. On April 21st, 1975, exactly 50 years ago today, muster was held in G. Raleigh White Coliseum. The speech was given by Reagan Brown, class of 1943, titled Rendezvous with Life. He spoke on reflection. Notably, he talked about the future generation. He calls upon the current students to be better Aggies, Texans, and Americans. 50 years ago today, the younger generation was you all sitting in the risers. For this muster, it is me, my classmates. It is my upperclassmen who taught me the same lessons that you were. Lessons that have been passed down for generations before you and will be passed down for generations after me. We promise to you that the A&M you loved is here today. It looks a little different. It has grown a lot. But yet we are still grounded by the core values you instilled in yourselves. Thank you for paving this path so we may continue growing this culture and spirit that you built. Thank you for coming back to football games, tailgates, and march-ins. Thank you for giving us a place that we can all love. Texas A&M is a home to so many, and 50 years from now, it will still be a home for my own reunion. It may look different, and it may be a little bigger, but those lessons will still be passed on. The Aggie spirit is timeless and will live within us well past when here is called. Thank you.
Aggie's proudly stand. blessings on each one on this muster day. Aggie Muster
Howdy. I thank every single one of you for being here. Tonight, we gather as one Aggie family for an occasion that is both solemn and unifying. Muster, a moment where we pause to reflect, remember, and reaffirm the bond that ties us all together, no matter where we are. It is in this very spirit that I have the privilege of introducing our 2025 Campus Muster keynote speaker, whose character and career embody service above self. Lieutenant General Michael L. Downs, class of 1992, is a man whose life has been shaped by the very values we hold so dear in this institution. Raised in Texas to an Aggie family, he found his home at Texas A&M, where the Corps of Cadets and the spirit of this university instilled in him the principles of leadership, service, and selfless dedication to the common good. As a member of the Squadron 15 and the Ross Volunteer Company, he learned that leadership is not about titles or rank. Rather, it is about the responsibility to those we serve. He was commissioned into the Air Force as an ROTC Distinguished Graduate in 1992. After that, he embarked on a career marked by leadership and an unwavering service to this nation. He has embraced challenges across the globe, serving in key leadership positions within Central Command, European Command, Indo-Pacific Command, and Southern Command. He has led thousands of airmen at every level, from squadrons in South Korea to commanding the 17th Training Wing right here in Texas. Lieutenant General Downs recently served as Vice Director of the Joint Staff at the Pentagon, synchronizing strategic military efforts across branches. Now, he serves as the Associate Director for Military Affairs for the Central Intelligence Agency, as the principal link between the CIA and the Department of Defense, ensuring that America maintains its global strategic advantage. Beyond these remarkable roles, accomplishments, and distinguished decorations, including the Defense Superior Service Medal, Legion of Merit, and Bronze Star, what resonates deeply with me is the person that Lieutenant General Downs is. He is authentic, intentional, and genuine in every single interaction he has. Throughout the selection process, I've gotten the privilege of interacting with him on a regular basis. In our first meeting, he spent 20 minutes genuinely asking questions about my life, wanting to hear my Aggie story. His interest was sincere, his humility was evident, and his kindness was unmistakable. In that moment, I experienced firsthand how General Downs embodies the Aggie values we hold so dear. I also had the privilege of meeting Leah, General Downs' wife. In her words, Mike's highest personal value is integrity, a trait evident in everything he does. But above all else, family is what matters most to him. She also described him as someone who is so curious and invested in people, even recalling how some individuals he met 10 or 15 years ago still reach out to her because of how he remembers their names and their stories. His achievements are extraordinary, but equally impressive is the humility and authenticity he demonstrates every single day. It is a privilege tonight, on a day so important to Texas A&M, to welcome home a true Aggie who continues to lead, inspire, and serve with integrity, both on a global scale and right here in the heart of Aggieland. On behalf of the Aggie Muster Committee, please join me in warmly welcoming our Campus Muster 2025 keynote speaker, Lieutenant General Michael L. Downs, class of '92.
Well, I got to say, I wasn't anticipating that. Tomas, thank you. What a very kind introduction, and I'll pay you after this. Howdy, Ags. It's always great to hear that. And it's an absolute honor to be here this evening. Honestly, the highest honor. President Welsh and Betty, thanks so much for allowing me to be here this evening and for your exceptional leadership of our world-class university. A special thank you to the Muster Committee for everything you've done to make Aggie Muster so special. And I'd really like to welcome Abby Kirchhoff, this year's Muster Chair, and the boys of the Muster Speaker Committee, Tomas, Adam, Jonathan, and Braden. In all honesty, I don't know how they selected me. I'm not sure what their secret process was. But working with this group of Aggies has been the absolute highlight of my year. They are nothing short of inspirational. And I can't thank enough my wife, Leah, who is in deep prayer right now that the speech will go okay. Leah is not an Aggie, but I assure you her blood is maroon as it gets. I met her on a blind date immediately following my commissioning and graduation from A&M. And because A&M was so foundational to who I am, I couldn't help but inundate her with endless stories about how exceptional our university is. And remarkably, she endured and she stayed with me. Ironically, Leah is the most motivated Aggie mom you will ever meet, a true believer in everything Texas A&M stands for. In fact, when our youngest son, Zach, asked if he should apply to her alma mater, her answer was immediate and unequivocal. You are only applying to Texas A&M. That's good bull. That is good bull. Leah, thanks for laboring with me through this speech, for your prayers, and for your endless support. I love you. We also get to welcome the Fightin' Texas Aggie class of '75. I'm going to say that one more time because it sounded so great. We get to welcome the Fightin' Texas Aggie class of '75. Howdy. Yeah. Welcome home. And as so many of these speakers have done tonight, thank you so much for how you have served your communities, our great state, and our nation, and how you've represented our universities since you graduated from A&M. And most importantly, a special welcome to the families we're honoring tonight. Families who this year lost your Aggie. I hope tonight you will feel the unshakable bond, love, and support of your Aggie family as we remember and we grieve with you. This past December, my son Zach had just come out of knee surgery for an injury he sustained in Air Force ROTC field training. He was still in that post-surgery groggy state. And while he was in surgery, news of my selection had come in from the speaker committee. So to cheer him up, Leah told him, and he was instantly shaken from his grogginess, and he let out instinctively a, "Let's go," that came from the very depths of Zach's Aggie heart and soul. You see, Zach has been to musters his entire life. He has mustered from California to Korea, from Alabama to Rhode Island. Zach has mustered in large gatherings of Aggies in D.C. and in small gatherings of Aggies in backyards overseas. He understands that Aggie muster is unique among all of A&M's unmatched traditions. It is a reunion of Aggies all over the globe, remembering the good times, and it is a solemn and sacred tribute to the loved and to the lost. He later confided in his mother that, in addition to being pumped, he was really nervous on my behalf. imagining me speaking in front of all of you. And last night he sent me a text. He said, "Dad, you're going to crush it. The Aggie spirit is strong in you." So thank you, Z, and I hope I make you proud tonight. Muster is foundational to Zach and his brother Will, class of 24, who are third-generation Aggies. Coming to A&M was really the only choice they ever had. Since their earliest years, I would refer to them when I introduced them to other Aggies by their class year, 24 and 26. Their journey to this great institution started in the fall semester of 1954, when my dad entered the A&M College of Texas. Dad had initially applied to TU, but after visiting A&M the spring semester of his high school year, there was no turning back. And he's now the most diehard Aggie you will ever meet. And he wove a deep love of A&M into my heart. Dad can't be here tonight, but he's watching via live stream. Dad is my best friend, and I'm sure he's proud right now. And knowing Dad, tears are streaming down his face. I love you, Dad. Thank you for my heritage, for my Aggie heritage. I showed up on campus 34 years later, in August 1998 or 88. Another Fish Downs embarking on his Aggie journey. I had hair down to my shoulders, a tank top, I was wearing flip-flops. I was placed in Squadron 15, Fanatic 15. And my commanding officer, Pete Guerra, later told me that, based on how I looked, he thought I would be out within the first week. But what he didn't know was that my heart had been set on Texas A&M since I could remember, and I was going to give it everything I had. What Pete didn't know was that I was the fifth of 6 kids, and that we'd all gone to A&M. And that my dad promised that he would pay halfway only if we went to Texas A&M. What Pete didn't know was that in 1979, my brother John entered Texas A&M, and that my dad and I would drive up from San Antonio to visit John on the weekends and watch Fighting Texas Aggie football. As a 4th grader in the fall of '79, I can still remember Curtis Dickey scampering 21 yards as the Ags were beating the highly ranked, highly favored TU 13-7. And I can remember him getting the go-ahead touchdown. And then a moment of silence, 1 second of pure silence, as the time on the clock expired. And then the deafening roar that ensued from the world-renowned 12th man that shook the gates of hell. After coming to A&M that fall, experiencing Aggie football, Aggie bonfire, the Fighting Texas Aggie band, I was hooked. My heart was captured, and it was the only school I applied to. Standing here tonight with so many Ags, so many students, I'm drawn back to my time at the A&M College of Texas to two of the most powerful musters that I experienced here. My fifth year, I attended my first muster in Aggie land in G. Raleigh White Coliseum. I can still see the soft sunlight streaking through the windows at the top of the bleachers and the solemnness that permeated the air. It was an incredible feeling mustering in G. Raleigh White. Like my boys, I had mustered all over the globe. I mustered with my dad my entire life, and now I was an Aggie. A hard-charging fish in the Fighting Texas Aggie Corps, Cadet Corps, and carrying on the muster tradition for my family. I couldn't help but feel the connection to my dad in the sense that Dad had mustered here 34 years earlier, and how he must have felt when he was Fish Downs. It was a proud moment. At muster that year, we honored the class of 39 as they celebrated their 50-year reunion. Highlighted was a member of that amazing class of 623 members, most of whom would go on to serve in World War II, 59 of whom gave their lives in service to our nation. I can remember so clearly this gallant Aggie recounting his time on the baton and Philippines, knowing his time of freedom would soon come to an end as American forces were preparing to surrender to the Japanese. You see, this Aggie was a survivor of the Bataan Death March. For those not familiar, at the start of World War II, the Japanese Imperial Army had surrounded American forces on a small Philippine peninsula. Besieged on land, blockaded in the sea, outmanned and outgunned, American forces were forced to surrender, knowing that their captors would treat them brutally. After the surrender, the Americans were marched relentlessly through the jungle, facing horrific conditions. Intense heat with very little food or water, continually beaten. The march was characterized by a severe abuse and wanton killing, with those falling out during the march simply shot. Of the 75,000 Allied soldiers who began the Bataan Death March, 9,000 were killed, including 5 Aggies. So this Aggie, class of 39, recounted how, knowing what was to come, the savage treatment he would endure, weakened from 6 weeks on half rations, but not bowed, determined he would refuse to surrender his dignity, and that he would draw on everything that he had learned at Texas A&M to survive. And he told us how he had sewn a pocket on the inside of his pants to hide his Aggie ring, because he knew that when the Japanese captured them, that they would take everything, his watch, his Aggie ring. But in G. Raleigh White, this incredible Aggie triumphantly raised his hand high above his head, and he said, "Ags, I hid this ring in that pocket because I decided they could take my life, but they weren't going to take my Aggie ring." Yeah, that's a big whoop right there, I'm here to tell you. Yeah. You can imagine the roar that produced. You could write whole books about what the Aggie ring represents. But his action and the crowd's response sums up all that Texas A&M represents and how exceptional our university is. My junior year, muster was personal to me. It wasn't the speaker. I honestly don't remember who he was or what he said, much like you won't remember me. But that year, I answered here for my sister Kathleen, class of '84. Kath was special. Her life was one of service. She was passionate about the Lord and shared her faith with so many. She prayed for her long-haired, mischievous teenage brother unceasingly. Kath was a nurse who loved her patients and the opportunity to serve them. And at the age of 27, at a time when she and her husband were planning a family, Kathleen was diagnosed with cancer. I can still remember going to visit her in the hospital before I returned to A&M spring semester of my junior year. Kath looked at me and she said, "Michael, I don't think I'm going to make it." But she was okay. She was looking forward to meeting the Lord in heaven. The day I got back to A&M, I got the call from my dad that my sister had passed. Obviously, I was crushed. I was a Ross volunteer and a member of the firing squad, the same group of Aggies who, in a few moments, will march out here into this arena and fire a 21-gun salute for the honor Aggies we honor this evening. I can remember so clearly the firing squad gathering in a small room in the back of G. Raleigh White before performing our sacred duty. The quiet weight of that moment and trying to fight off the emotion, the great sorrow that overwhelmed me. And in that solemn moment, my old lady, a 6'5" Andy Cole, put his arm around me and he pulled me in. And I lost it. What a gesture. I gathered myself, we did our duty and conducted our 21-gun salute. And I held on to that shell I fired on behalf of my sister. Tonight, that shell I fired in honor of my sister Kathleen is here. It is in my son Zach's pocket. Zach, too, is a Ross volunteer, and since his fifth year, he has carried that shell in his pocket and at every silver taps, and at every muster. He does so not just in honor of my sister Kathleen, but in honor of all the Aggies who have modeled all that A&M stands for. So when I remember my formative musters, I remember the special significance of two pockets. One that belonged to an Aggie prisoner of war in a Philippine jungle who refused to surrender his Aggie ring. And another pocket that carries the shell that represents my sister and the tremendous impact Kathleen had on this world. And if Kath were here tonight, she'd tell you that Texas A&M shaped her in indelible ways. Because Texas A&M is exceptional among American universities. It stands apart in what we stand for, how we do things, and how we demonstrate what we stand for, and how we stand the entire game as the fighting Texas Aggie 12th man, as one in support of our team. It is exhibited in silver taps, midnight yell, and a friendly howdy, and how we remove our covers as we walk into the MSC in remembrance of all those Aggies who have died in service to our nation. The spirit of Aggieland is exhibited in the thousands of Aggies who pour into Bryan College Station every year to serve citizens here in the big event. It is not just talk. We walk the walk. I am a walking billboard for Texas A&M. All you have to do is tell me your kid is thinking about coming here, and you have bought a 5-minute conversation, often much to my wife's chagrin, about all that Texas A&M represents. I typically start by telling the unsuspecting listener that when I was here, the visitor center at Rudder played a video called The Other Education. Absolutely. A&M offers a world-class education. But at Texas A&M, we're developing leaders of character and service who will go back to their communities, our great state, and serve in unbelievable ways. They will hear from me how we have more student organizations than any school in America, 1,300 to be precise. And it is manifest down the road in the fact that we have the most CEOs of any Fortune 500 company in America. Because our secret sauce is that we get students involved in this university and each other and in giving back to their communities. Take the muster committee. This year, the 34 members of the muster committee have met since September 27th, every week, for thousands of collective hours, all for this one night, for this one moment, for you. Because that is who we develop at Texas A&M, not just leaders, but servant leaders. Texas A&M inspires Aggies to break the norm and to do something spectacular. My brother John revered his Squadron 11 classmate, Chris Sorensen, class of '83. It's not often you have such unbridled respect for a buddy, but John knew Chris was special. He was dedicated and hard-charging. Even while he was at A&M, Chris was larger than life, and he was a legend to me. I looked up to Chris, and he took care of me at points in my career. After 9/11, that tragic day that America was attacked and lost over 2,000 of our countrymen, Chris Sorensen received the call. A fighting Texas Aggie received the call that he would spearhead America's response, a presidentially directed mission to avenge the lives of Americans lost. Chris would lead America's elite special forces, 90 of America's most highly trained warriors, in a daring raid off the USS Kitty Hawk in the first ground combat operation in Afghanistan, a strategic assault on the Taliban headquarters. At the conclusion of the raid, after nearly an hour of intense firefight, after being surrounded by the Taliban, amidst the chaos that is combat, Chris took an American flag out of his ruck and he handed it to one of his soldiers to plant atop Taliban headquarters. Because Chris's mission was to send Al-Qaeda and their Taliban hosts an unmistakable message that if you attack America, if you harm our people, we will come for you. And in classic Aggie spirit, Chris also took with him on that mission, as he did in every mission, the Texas A&M flag. Chris's leadership that day, his courage under fire, the hope he gave America, that was spectacular. Chris attributes his remarkable special operations career, especially his combat success, to everything he learned here at Texas A&M. And he would tell you that emblazoned on his heart are the words spoken by Governor Richard Koch to the students at the opening of Texas A&M in 1876. Let your watchword be your duty, and know no other talisman of success than labor. Let honor be your guiding star with your superiors, your fellows, with all. Stand by the right, even to the sacrifice of life itself, and learn that death is preferable to dishonor. Aggies, that is who we are. That's what we do. Aggies are special. You do the spectacular every day. You win championships for your communities, for our great state, for this nation every day. And I am convinced this greatness, it is inspired by what we learn here at Texas A&M in the classroom and via the other education. And tonight we're going to celebrate, and we are celebrating, all that we stand for that is epitomized in Aggie muster. Muster is personal to me. And I know tonight that it is very personal for those of you who are remembering an Aggie very close to you. But you are surrounded by your Aggie family, who have come to support you, to remember, to celebrate, and to grieve with you. And that is a powerful thing that can only be understood by the Aggie family. At A&M, we are a family that cares for each other. We are committed to one another from our first howdy to when our name is called on the roll call. And a fellow Aggie answers here for us. In a moment, we will soon answer here for a family member, a loved one, a classmate, a fellow Aggie. In the years since my first muster, I have answered here for my sister Kathleen, class of '84, who died way too young and who lived her life in service to the hundreds she cared for as a nurse. And as a second lieutenant in Insulet, Turkey, I answered here for my brother John, class of '83, who departed this earth way too early and whose joining the Corps in 1979 inspired my path to this podium this evening. I have answered here for my old lady, Lieutenant Colonel John Collins, class of '92, who was tragically killed in a car accident on his way to the University of North Carolina, ROTC, where he was developing the next generation of Air Force officers. And I have answered here for my official lady's wife, Jennifer Ramirez, class of '92, who dedicated her life to investing in our future as a high school teacher. And for the last decade, I've joined my dad, class of '58, for so many musters, where he has answered a final here for a growing list of classmates that is smaller every year. So to the families gathered here tonight, whose loved one we honor tonight, whose Aggie we honor tonight, know that your Aggie family answers here with you tonight. God bless you, and gig 'em.
Please stand for the spirit of Aggieland. You may now be seated. Roll call for the absent by Dr. John Ashton, class of 1906. In many lands and climes this April day, proud sons of Texas A&M unite. Our loyalty to country, school we pay, and seal our pact with a bond of common might. We live again those happy days of yore, on campus, field, in classroom, hall, at drill. Fond memories bring a sigh, but nothing more. Now we are men, and life is one great thrill. On Fortress Isle 82 years ago today, a group of gallant Aggies, led by Moore, held simple rites which to us all doth say, the spirit shall prevail or cannon roar. They thought of home and all we hold most dear. Where are they now, those boys we knew so well? Ask the winds, let smile repress a tear. Think only of their glory when they fell. Corregidor, forevermore a hallowed name, to countless sons of Texans yet unborn. Symbolic like it stands for deathless frame, a shrine sublime till resurrection morn. Softly call the muster, let comrade answer here. Their spirits hover round us, as if to bring us cheer. Mark them present in our hearts, we'll meet some other day. There is no death, but life etern, for heroes such as they.
Tonight, as we celebrate the campus muster ceremony, we represent one of many gatherings, no one more important than another. We light this candle and bring to life the enduring spirit of muster and all Aggies who we have honored throughout the years and will honor tonight. May this candle serve as a representation of the collective togetherness that muster affords us and signify that the spirit that flows through each ceremony is the same. Let this spirit breathe life into the memory and legacy for all whom we softly call the muster. Candle holders and candle holder guests, please stand as you are able. Alexander Thomas Bull, class of 2027.
Here.
Lyndon Cradale Colbert, class of 2027.
Here.
Thomas Connolly, class of 2027.
Here.
Victor Guerrero, clase de 2027.
Here.
Luke Anthony Morse, class of 2027.
Here.
Molly Nicole Sims, class of 2027.
Here.
El Shaddai Getnet, class of 2026.
Here.
Katie Deanna Hunsinger, class of 2026.
Here.
Madison Elizabeth Bragg, class of 2025.
Here.
James Thomas Donald, class of 2025.
Here.
Ethan Walker Kantak, class of 2025.
Here.
Alice May Zhang, class of 2025. Alexis Kendall Watson, class of 2024. Hunter Michelle Crane, class of 2022. Matthew David Elmer, class of 2022 and 2025. Alejandro Rodriguez IV, class of 2021. Garrett Ross Pendergast, class of 2019. Peter Fan, class of 2019. Matthew Douglas Bancroft, class of 2017. Dean Caleb Leathers, class of 2009. Kevin Lynn Palmer, class of 2002 and 2024. Jennifer Lynn Griffith, class of 1999. Eleanor Shaw Claiborne, class of 1998. Nicholas Francis Link, Jr., class of 1998. Kristen Lee Roberson Alcott, class of 1998. Denise Marie Perkins, class of 1997. Colin Richard Oker, class of 1996. John David Walker, class of 1996. Hilaire Callendorf, class of 1995. Dr. Milton Glenn Thomas, class of 1994. Alan J. Wise, class of 1994. Clinton Doyle Byram, class of 1993. Houston F. Duncan, class of 1993. Thelma Durham Eisenhart, class of 1993. Sergeant Andrew Andy Stanton Huff, class of 1992. Charles Cecil James, class of 1992. Garrison J. Kent, class of 1992. Charles R. Pete Robertson, Jr., class of 1991. Curtis Homer Villarreal, class of 1991. Dina Robertson Biggers, class of 1984. Brian K. Vale, class of 1987. Dr. Norman Lane Traylor, class of 1986. Thomas Scott Hopkins, class of 1985. Michael Mike Ellis Easley, class of 1989. Dr. Mark E. Westutian, class of 1983. Dr. Sergio Serna Saldivar, class of 1982. Warren Timothy Sexton, class of 1982. James Kelly Mowry, class of 1980. Elizabeth Ann Ezell, class of 1979. Carla D. Cole, class of 1975. Dr. Charles Crary Coleman, class of 1975. Patrick Pat Lloyd Cohn, class of 1975. Deborah Jean Corpora, class of 1975. Bruce Lee Krager, class of 1975. Marjorie Jo Duke, class of 1975. Dr. Stephen Rice Fowler, class of 1975. Joseph Carl Fuller Sr., class of 1975. Dr. Michael C. Gallagher, class of 1975. Jack Irwin Gisuka, class of 1975. Barbara Coulter Goodman, class of 1975. Mark Anthony Gosh, class of 1975. Michael Douglas Greaser, class of 1975. David W. Griffiths, class of 1975. Jackie Jean Hanselman, class of 1975. Dr. Stephen L. Hatch, class of 1975. Danny Ray Hemphill, class of 1975. Ron Holcomb, class of 1975. Rhonda Lynn Holmes, class of 1975. Susan Lynn Johnson, Class of 1975. Arthur V. King, Class of 1975.
Roger Dale Lawrence, Class of 1975. William F. Mariuto, Class of 1975. Douglas Steele Meaden III, Class of 1975. Maurice Lee Niles, Class of 75 and 81. James Lanson Rawson, Class of 1975. Jan Elizabeth Scott, Class of 1975. Dr. Samir E. Shelbaya, Class of 1975. Judson Douglas Stelgis, Class of 1975. Glenda Sue Stewart, Class of 1975. Dr. Darlene May Tulene, Class of 1975. Roman S. Waldron IV, Class of 1975. Dr. Roger L. West, Class of 1975. Richard L. Wilkinson, Class of 1975. Lori Williams, Class of 1975. Dr. Nancy Jane Wright, Class of 1975. Dr. David Stiles Wire, Class of 1975. Dr. Leland Burleson Baskin, Class of 1974. John Lowe Lynn, Class of 1973. David Ray Sinatsky, Class of 1972. Cyril Stoney Burke, Class of 1970. Eugene Wayne Lightsey, Class of 1970. Raul Buckner Thomason, Jr., Class of 1969. Jerry Blaisdell, Class of 1968. Charles W. Johns, Class of 1968. Lawrence J. Larry Zatopek, Class of 1968. Rayford Richard Carey, Class of 1967. Ralph Cobb, Jr., class of 1967. Bill Dinwiddie, Jr., class of 1967. David George Barker, class of 1966 and 68. Rodney Lee Dockery, Sr., class of 1966. Andrew Clyde Soggy, class of 1966. Dr. Clifford A. Skiles, Jr., class of 1966. Donald Darrell Carter, class of 1965. Edwin Foster Gambrill, class of 1965. Victor M. Garcia, class of 1965. Gary Jean Mills, class of 1965. Edward James Jim Noon, Jr., class of 1965. Ricky Watley, class of 1965. Dr. John Thomas Baldwin, class of 1964. Lieutenant Colonel Robert Lloyd Cates, class of 1964. James Henry Echterhoff, Jr., class of 1964. Gary Dan Rudder, class of 1964. Terry Don Cobb, class of 1963. David Barnard Dodson, Sr., class of 1963. Clyde Rodney Flanagan, class of 1963. Jim Keller, class of 1963. Major Joel Burt Terrell, class of 1963. Lieutenant Colonel Robin Harrison Moore, class of 1961. Horace Franklin McQueen, class of 1960. Charles Evans Still, class of 1960. Dan Byron Bunker, class of 1953. Bobby Markham Greenwood, class of 1959. William H. Hardy III, class of 1959. Homer Hale Hershey, class of 1959. Richard Andrew Chapman, class of 1958. Elmer LaWarren Jacob, class of 1958. James Wright Jr., class of 1958. John B. Hendrick, class of 1957. Fred Wayne Galley, class of 1956. Donald Francis Kepreda, class of 1956. Ronald Lee Robbins, class of 1956. Ben Hines, class of 1955. Jimmy Tyree, class of 1954. Dr. Lee J. Phillips, class of 1953. William Harold Scott, class of 1953. Ray Keith Sloan, class of 1953. Fred R. Waters, class of 1953. Perry Mark King, class of 1952. Charles L. Pence, class of 1951. Billy Jack Garner, class of 1949. Gerald K. Grogan, class of 1947. J. R. McElroy, class of 1945. Larry Clavern. Dr. Charles Johnson. Craig Callendorf. Rodney Killingbeck. Raichu Lazarov. John Pitts. Dr. Thomas Robert Sabine. Hunter Harris, class of 1992. Please continue to stand as you are able.
Please extinguish your flame and be seated. In Memoriam by Lieutenant Colonel David Harrigan, class of 1968. We stood a little taller and a little prouder then when we heard the call of muster and the roll call just begin. We stood there all together and wiped away the tears when our names were called out softly and answered with a here. And so we've joined together with our brothers of the past to make our final resting place at Aggieland our last. We take a toast to our brotherhood, wherever they may roam. For us, the trek is over. Aggieland, we're coming home.
In 1942, E.E. McQuillan, Executive Secretary of the Association of Former Students and Class of 1920, sent a message to the chairman of each Aggie muster worldwide. In this message was included a traditional closing of the ceremony that has remained an integral part of many musters to this day. David Casper, Class of 1975, will now stand and dismiss the muster.
I charge you each to remain firm in your loyalty to your country and to your God. Keep warm in your hearts your affection for each other and of your alma mater. The muster is dismissed until April 21st, 2026, and may good fortune smile upon us all until we meet again.